peoples and nations. But this creation, after one chapter, destroyed. And God needed to create another world, etc. But this is the utopia, and it has to be there for us. But that means that if we believe that all of us equal and all of us in the image of God, created in the image of God, is there no place for religion and for communities and for nations? Obviously there is, but it's a tension always. Always have to be a conversation. The first time that this conversation is appear in the Talmud is in the next principle, and you have it on the text. I'm quoting from Bereshit Rabbi. It's a text from a midrash that they asking in the study hall in the Bet Midrash, what is the most important principle in Judaism of the Torah? When they say the Torah, they mean Judaism. And Ben Azai, one of the rabbis, quoting from chapter 5, which maybe is the third story of creation, but definitely echo the first one in chapter 8. This is the book of the generation of Adam. The most important principle in Judaism, as God meant to, is the universal approach and universal values. Rabbi Akiva argues with him and says, you shall love your neighbors as yourself. What we just read in the parasha yesterday morning, in Parashat Kedoshim. In halachic term, friends in Hebrew is your fellow Jew. That's what the argument is about. In brackets, I would say that that's a contra to Christianity in early 2nd century, when it didn't become yet the religion of the empire, that they took this verse from Kedoshim as a golden rule for them, as the most universal thing. And then Judaism took the word friend, you shall love your neighbor. In Hebrew it's friend, lereacha, it's not neighbor, as a Jew. And that's the context of this argument. Now there's no solution. It's not an argument that we need to find the solution. It's a tension between always, we are in a Jewish community, but the goal always have to be the universal goals. God is universal. Love is universal. Trust is universal. There's no Jewish God. There's no Jewish love. There's no Jewish faith. Then he will argue with me. Okay? So it's a conversation. We not look for solution. Problems have solution. Conversation, it's the life itself. And from that conversation, we move to the third principle, and we need to practice it, this tension, in our community. And the third principle, rooted in the most famous mitzvah in the Old Torah. 36 times in the Torah, we, Jews, command how to behave to the non-Jews. 36 times. More than Shabbat, more than Kashrut, more than name it, more than anything else. 36 times. This story, the Exodus from Egypt, is all around us. It's in the mezuzah, it's in the tefillin, it's on the daily prayer, it's in the kiddush for Shabbat and for festivals, it's all over. We need to practice this in our Jewish institutions, in synagogues, in schools, in community centers. When God, and that's the second text on that principle from the Ten Commandments, when God introducing himself to the people in Mount Sinai, he could choose to introduce himself as, I'm your, you don't use Lord, what you use, I'm your God, creator of heaven and earth. He could do that, it's true. He didn't choose to do so. He could introduce himself, I'm the best God in the neighborhood. It's true, but he didn't choose to do so. The way he chose to reveal himself to us is, I'm your God that took you out from Egypt, from the house of slavery. Or something like that. Yeah, I'm not sure I quote it. It's here. Means to believe in God is to believe in God that gives freedom to everyone. And if we created in the image of God, this is our task too. I put in the text study some quotes from sermons by Rabbi Elk. We will not have time to read it, but it's for you to take after that, and it's related to those principles. And all this memory of Exodus of Egypt, and that we've been created in the image of God, and there's a tension between the particular and universalism, showing us and teaching us that Judaism, it's a journey. And Judaism started as a journey. First time that we have Judaism, it's not Jewish yet, it's Hebrew. It's when God tell Abraham, Lech lecha, go forth. Not good translation. Yeah, but there's no nikud in the Torah, so we don't know. Lech lecha, it's already a commentary. It looks like twice lech, go. As if I want to translate the Torah, it will be, go, Abraham. Okay? It's a journey. And it's not to a place. Israel is not mentioned in this verse. To the place, to the land that I will show you. Halakha, Jewish law, is from the root lalechet, to go, to walk. It's all about journey. But in this journey, you have to make sure a few things. A, to be enough big to make an impact. I will make you a great nation and I will bless you. I will make your name great and you should be a blessing. Yeah, the first thing that Abraham doing when God told him this first, if you will look in the Torah after that, is taking his wife, his nephew, a lot of money, and all the nefesh asher asu b'charan, all the souls that they, and the commentary is that this is the first conversion class. He realized that in order to make an impact on the world, if you want to bring a new idea to the world, you need a congregation, you need followers. So והנפש אשר עשו בחרן, according to the rabbis, it's the first convert that joined him to believe in this God. And the third, it's not enough that you will be a blessing to all the people that you're on your way, and we're going to the third verse, I will bless those who bless you and curse the one who curse you, and all the families of earth shall bless themselves by you. And when we teach at Leobek about Abraham, it's always the father of free religion. Sounds obvious. You're not surprised, as if I understand why you're not surprised. In Israel, it's a big thing to say that Abraham in Jewish schools. But it's written here, it's father of all nations. And this journey, it's not to a land. It's to idea. The term aliyah laregel, how you translate aliyah laregel? The three regalim, Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. What is aliyah laregel? How you translate that?
Go up.
Exactly, go up, not go to. Yeah? It's aliyah laregel. Regel, it's as if it's foot. But regel, it's an idea. It's from regular in Latin. Regular, it's an idea. It's a faith principle. So when you aliyah laregel, it's not to go to Jerusalem physically. Jerusalem symbolizes something, and that's the idea that you need to do aliyah laregel or aliyah laTorah. When you don't aliyah to the stage, okay? It's a spiritual lift or spiritual journey. So therefore, we're going to the fifth one. What is this faith that the most important regular faith or principles? And again, here also I could choose few, and it can be debatable. Like Rabbi Akiva and Ben Azai about what is the great principle in Judaism. But I think that there's no doubt throughout the generation that Shema Israel symbolized more than any other verse the faith of Judaism. And I want just to mention that if we remember from when we pray in the synagogue or wherever, the last word before Shema Israel is love. The first word after Shema Israel is ve'ahavta, love. You shall love. See, in Hebrew, ve'ahavta, in Hebrew, you shall love. That's why in Hebrew we have less than 100,000 words, and in English we have between 500,000 or 1 million words vocabulary. One word in Hebrew, you have 3 or 4. So to believe in God, rooted and surrounded in love. And Judaism is obsessive about the oneness. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad in Gematria, which you hate, but never mind, I will use it. Gematria is to make letters in numbers. Don't smile. Echad is also love. And I love it. Love before Echad, love after Echad, and Echad itself, the Gematria of Echad is love. They're obsessive about the oneness, about the Echad. Because many other cultures and religion around us believe in 2 or even more gods. There is the God of the good, the God of the bad, and we insisted that God is one, and bad and good, when we talk about God, is like minus and plus in battery. It's energies. The bad will come from the minus. Minus and plus in battery, yeah, I'm translating from Hebrew. The good will come from the plus, but in God area or kingdom, it's energies. And when I saw Isaiah saying, Oseh shalom ubore et hara, make the one that creating peace and creating the bad, in our Siddur Tfilah, because it's the blessing before Shema Israel, about the light. We change it, not we, the rabbis, the old reform. They change it from the quote from Isaiah, and they wrote, Oseh shalom הוא בורא את הכל. Thank you, Aaron. To make sure that it's not different God. Because if we have two gods, it means that we, been created in the image of God, should take responsibility on the bad side of our life. Because this is something else, this is different God. So the journey is the journey to the Echad, to accept all our sides, the good and the bad inclination and the good things and the bad things, and it's all part of who we are. Is it faith that symbolize tradition and symbolize our, you can go to the next one, Mark. It's something that, written on the wall that you cannot change it or you cannot touch it? No. It's an ongoing invitation, every generation, to talk about our faith and our religion and to change it. Therefore, the next principle is, in Hebrew, I would say, masoret vechidush, tradition and innovation. But I think creativity is very, very important, especially in our world. In the world of AI, I found that all what I need to teach my students is three things: creativity, critical thinking, and values. All the rest is commentary.
Can you say those again?
Creativity, critical thinking, and values. Values. We can argue which values, but I think in this area, I will stick with values. And Nietzsche, in late 19th century, said already, 40 years before the Nazis came into power, that creativity is what will keep democracy. Because and that's before AI, because if you have creativity, you can imagine. And if you can imagine a better world. And this is a wonderful story from the Talmud, Masechet Chagiga. I'm not sure who's follow the text, but anyway. It's a lovely text. The Hebrew, it's much nicer than the English. So I will just tell you this story. A few students went to say hello and to welcome the rabbi. And the question of the rabbi to the students was, what new things you learned today in the Bet Midrash? And they said, our rabbi, our teacher, you are the source of the water. In Hebrew it's beautiful. We're drinking from your water, and you want us to create new ideas when you are not around? And then he has this wonderful phrase, I would say it in Hebrew, אי אפשר לבית המדרש בלא חידוש. Bet Midrash, we symbolize for them Judaism, cannot exist without innovation. And so many psalms start with the first verse, Shiru la'Adonai shir chadash. Sing to God a new song. On Kabbalat Shabbat, we have 6 psalms before Lecha Dodi. To make it quicker, thank you, Mark. 6 psalms before Lecha Dodi, 2 of them starting with the verse, Shiru la'Adonai shir chadash. I just want to mention one article by Echad Ha'am, the father of spiritual Zionism, is the opposition of Herzl. And he wrote an article named Past and Future. And they ask in the article, what's the secret of Judaism? Now my words, not the Chadam words, but the conclusion of the article is that the secret of Judaism, that Judaism is never more than 49% past and never less than 51% future. If you believe in that, you will never die. The body will die, the nation will change because it's new people, but it will stay. Because you will all, and for Chadam, who was very secular, very atheist in many ways, that's the belief in the Messiah. That's the idea of to believe in the Messiah, like the horizon. It's there, we never reach there, but it's there. So all these 6 principles now need a framework, need a space. And one of the most important things in Judaism, you can move to the number 7, is Kehillah. And in education, it's even more important. It's even more important. Because the education in the Western world is outside, is isolated from the Kehillah. It's not, definitely not the center and not part of the Kehillah. The parents, the adults, this is for them the babysitter, because they have to go to work, and it's outside of the community. School in Judaism always was part of the Kehillah, yeah, the cheder. I gave here in the text, in the text, it's not book, text what? How do you call it? Handout, booklet, yeah. The 2 sources for Kehillah, just for you, the one is the Haggadic one. It's the story of Abraham and the argument between Abraham and God, that God wants to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And then Abraham going to God and said, you're going to destroy all the city with all the righteous people and all the evil people together. And if I can find 50 people, and God said, if you can find 50, fine. He's going to do his research, didn't find 50. Going back, if I can find 40, if I can find 30, 20, under 10, is not argue anymore with God. And the Midrash and all the commentaries is that 10 people in a city or in town can save the whole town. That's the Haggadic source for Minyan. The halachic one is the story of the 12 spies. Spies? Mm-hmm. Spies. The 10 coming back and reporting how bad is Israel. Next time you're going to be on a mission, remember that story. But they said the reality. They said what they saw. They reported facts. We talked about it in your congregation yesterday. But to be a Jew, to be a believer, I would say to be a human being. It's not to let the fact changing you, but to make sure that you create the reality that you want to do. So 10 reported the reality, and 2, which probably they lied. It's like to come from Israel today and to say, oh, what a beautiful place. You need to be a bit of Meshuggah to say something like that. And that was the moment when God realized that all this generation need to die in the desert. Because they cannot be free people, they're slaves. And slavery is to be slave to reality, to facts. A slave person sees the reality. A free person sees the possibilities. And that's the difference. So that's the 2 sources for that you have here. And the Mishnah that I brought here is the first time what is Kehillah made from? The free pillars, thank you. The 3 pillars of a community, of a Jewish life. Torah, study. Avodah, worship. And Milut Chasadim, good deed. What is the most important one? If we would do a quick vote.
Good deeds.
You say good deed.
Torah.
Great. Torah. Great. All the answers are true. According to the Haggadah of Pesach, who is the wicked son? The one that underestimate what? What's the question of the wicked one that because of these questions we say, avodah? What is this avodah? What is all this strange behavior, sacrifice, services, playing, speaking weird language instead of English? I mean, what is that? Not to understand the symbols, the place of rituals in a life of community. So that's the 3 pillars of community, and that's why for me, as a principal of a school and as a teacher, the school is not just Torah. It's also Avodah. It's also Gemilut Chasadim. It's rooted in the concept of computer. Input is Torah. Avodah is processing, the spiritual and the emotional. And the good deed is the output. What's the problem in the Western, not just Israeli, school system? We have a lot of input, 0 processing, and then we surprise why they're not nice or why the results are not good. Okay? So God created the concept of Keilah in the image of computer. Okay, so this community, we are 10 minutes from the end. You are still okay? You with me? Okay, you will be my sign. So if you continue smiling, I know it's fine. Although in my class, whenever a student is smiling, I know that he stopped to be with me. Now, while they are serious, you see that they are trying to be engaged and when they smile, I know that they are in a good world now. I'm happy, he's happy. Let's not disturb each other. Okay, so this community, we had the frame, we had the system, community, congregation, synagogue. Need a language. And the text that I brought here is the first time that it's a wonderful book, not famous. It's called Sefer Yetzirah, very short book. That's the first time talking about Hebrew grammar, the nikud, all the vowels rooted in this book, very early book in the 3rd century. And it's bringing the idea you should go to 8. Yeah, to the language. We're going to language, Hebrew language. Hebrew as a sacred language, not as a spoken language, yeah? Not Israeli Hebrew, Jewish Hebrew. And this text, this book, presents the idea that God created the world with 32 tools, 10 numbers, and 22 letters of the Hebrew letters, Hebrew language. And if we look at Genesis, the story of creation, the first story, the utopian one, 10 times God say, and then it's happened. Vayomer Elohim vayhi or, let's be light, and it will be light. So how you create world? By speaking. 10 times he spoke with some sacred language. We say Hebrew, but we don't have a clue which language they really spoke before in the time of King David or King Solomon or definitely Abraham or Moses. But we do need a holy language. And it doesn't matter if you're Jewish or Christian or Muslims or you go into every makom kadosh, holy place, doesn't matter which religion, and you feel that there is special language there. And this language, and we're going now to the number 9 and number 10, but start with 9. This language in Judaism, contains two things. One is music. Jewish language is mainly music. Go to any prayer. And there is a psak halacha that if a community have, apologize from all the rabbis in the room, in community have one budget enough for one job, they should take a cantor and not a rabbi. Because the rabbi is speaking words, and we don't need words, we need music. And the text that I brought here under music is the wonderful verse, one of the verses that I loved as a musician. When Jewish people received the Torah from Mount Sinai, it says, "V'kol ha'am ro'im et hakolot," and all the people see the voices. It's not a mistake. It's like they had some drugs. It's all the senses. They saw the voices, and God is a voice. In chapter 29 in Psalms, the list of 7 voices of God. This is the first musical scale. 7 voices. Kol Adonai b'koach, Kol Adonai be'adar, Kol Adonai. Some congregations sing that before Lechadodi, this chapter. There is a commentary by Rashi, again about a conversation in the Talmud, what is the secret of Judaism? What I mentioned is Echad Ha'am, 100 years ago, but the conversation about the secret of Judaism is already 2,000 years. And Rashi said there are 2 secrets that kept Judaism. One is the chanting of the Torah, the music, not the words. Not the words. When my dear friends, either from England or United States, ask me why Israeli don't like to pray, I say because they do understand what is written there. Sometimes when you understand, it doesn't mean that you can connect. What connects us is the music behind, the spirit behind. It's not necessarily the understanding. That's one secret. And the next secret, which is part of our Jewish language, principle number 10, is the concept of time. Judaism sanctify time. I don't know, I'm not saying not exist, but I don't know any other religion that have a blessing of Shehecheyanu. To sanctify the time. And we say Shehecheyanu v'kiyimanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh many times in our life. Many, many, many times. Every chag, every new things that we wear, every new fruit of this season that we eat, we sanctify the time. And the text that I brought in the small booklet is from Abraham Joshua Eshel. He was a rabbi in the state. He was very famous when he marched with Martin Luther King in the 60s, hand by hand. And he has this wonderful phrase that when he doing this kind of tikkun olam activities and political action, is praying with his legs. As if in the synagogue it's just the practicing, but the real thing is the good deed at the end of the day. What that means? Stop, continue, 5 minutes, fine, lovely. I need to learn the sign. It's different sign than Israel. It's so time. And Judaism is Judaism of time. With all the respect to Israel, I'm proud Israeli and proud Zionist. But Israel, in Judaism, it's not a place. It's a state of mind. You can live in Barnet and be Israeli, and you can live in Israel and be nothing, Jewishly. That's why, even though I live in Israel, I have to say, בשנה הבאה, השנה כאן, in Agadav Pesach, השנה כאן, שנה הבאה בארץ ישראל. This year here, next year in the land of Israel. But I'm in Israel. No. The fact that you live in Israel doesn't mean that you're in Israel. And for you, it doesn't mean that you need to move to Israel. It's a state of mind. So now we move almost toward the end to number 11. We know the story about 2 Jews, 3 synagogues. And it's a great joke, but this is also the reality. And for us, it's not a compromise. For us, it's a celebration. The disagreement is the basic of all the Talmud. 5,000 pages of the Talmud is disagreements. And actually, they don't have, so what should we do? Who should we follow? This is just Maimonides 700 years later on. Decided which argument we should follow, or which rabbi we should follow. That's all the fun, and that's life. It's about conversation. Conversation, in Hebrew, it's a conversation with God. Lifnei Adonai eshpoch sichi. That's from Psalm. The word sicha, conversation, is a conversation between man and himself, a woman with herself, and with God. It's a holy conversation. We sanctify the conversation, the process. That's why it's halakha. When I'm doing bar mitzvot, I'm telling the kids always in Hebrew, process, it's ta'alich. And date is ta'arich. And I'm telling them, forget the ta'arich. What's important is the tahalich. And they don't get it. No, I need to study because I have the bar mitzvah. No, the bar mitzvah is there in order for you to study. It's to change the way we're thinking. The same with exams in schools. We don't study for the exam. The exams are there for us to study. And this is a wonderful text about the first basic argument between Hillel and Shammai, showing how we sanctify the arguments between ideas and the debate between ideas. And we don't look for solution. If you look for solution, and if there is a solution, it's not a real argument. That's the idea behind this text. And now we're closing the principles with, so can you tell us everything on one foot? I cannot. Definitely not in not my mother's language. But Hillel did. And when a convert came to him, you can went to him and, Judaism is very, very serious, 5,000 pages of Talmud and millions of halachot and agadot, and we have more words and books than people. Give me everything on one foot. And what he said, which is back to the first principle, but in very simple words, all what hateful on you or to you, don't do to others. No Judaism, no God, no land of Israel. Not even Hebrew, it's in Aramaic. All this 45 minutes lectures is just because we need to be nice to each other? Yes. Yes. If we were born and knew how to be nice to each other, religion wouldn't come into the world, probably. Because we would stay in chapter A. But when God failed and John Lennon was murdered, Livriut, bless you, that was, you confirmed that John Lennon is not with us anymore. So we shouldn't try it. Yes, we need nation, we need religion, we will fight, we will argue, we will have wars. But at the end of the day, the end goal, just to be nice to each other. And again, I have one wonderful text from Rabbi Elk, which I will not read, but it's for you. And I want to finish with a few words that I wrote for Harry. As we come toward the close of this gathering, I realize that my voice has changed when I'm reading and when I'm speaking. Okay, interesting. I would like to return briefly to the lifetime of Rabbi Harry Jacobi and to what his life may yet ask of us. At his ordination, he was described by Rabbi John Rayner, alav shalom, in terms that are at once ancient and yet enduring. The rabbi as a leader, a representative of the community before God, and a teacher. And at the heart of these roles stood three essential qualities of Harry: integrity, humility, and compassion. Fine words, noble ideas. But what makes Rabbi Jacobi so remarkable is that these were not merely aspirations. He lived them quietly, consistently, listen to the rabbi, and at the time, courageously. In his own account, my finest hour, and thank you for that, Harry does not speak of victory in battle, nor of public recognition. Instead, he recalls a moment during the Second World War, when together with fellow Jewish soldiers and Jewish brigada, he helped ensure that much needed supplies reached displaced Jews and survivors. It was not, strictly speaking, in accordance with the rules, and yet it was profoundly in accordance with conscience. In that moment, he faced a tension we all recognize, in one form or another, the distance between what is permitted and what is right. And without drama, without self-congratulation, he chose the path of human responsibility. There, in that quiet act, we glimpse the very qualities spoken of at his organization: integrity, in acting according to one's deepest convictions, humility, in the absence of any claim to heroism, and compassion, in an unwavering response to the suffering of others. Perhaps this is what we mean when we speak of a life of faith. Not only what one believes, not only what one teaches, but what one does when confronted with the needs of another human being. Rabbi Jacobi's finest hour was not a moment in which he was seen. It was a moment in which he saw others and responded. And that, I think, is where his legacy meets us. We may not stand in the circumstance that he did, but we are, each of us, still called to narrow the gap between our values and our actions, to live with integrity, to remain humble before the tasks instruct to us, and to care actively and courageously for those around us. May his memory continue to guide and inspire us. Thank you very much.
Our Ofek, many, many thanks on behalf of everyone here, and here means in this physical space and also joining us via Zoom. I think we have all learned much in the last 45 minutes or so. I've got lots of notes, and I'm going to take away lots of those thoughts. I think in thanking you, I'm thanking you not only for this afternoon, but I'm thanking you for being one of those people who is the next generation of Harry Jacobis, in your own way. In that the same courage of your convictions, the same role as teacher, the same role in doing things that others need. It struck me that one of the things that we hadn't mentioned so far is the role that you have played since, you played for so long, since the October the 7th, 2023, in supporting the hostage families, in being with them for those Havdalot, those remarkable gatherings that I wasn't privileged to ever be part of, that were on Saturday nights, and supporting them in line with these principles, in words and in music, and in presence, and in teaching and learning, and living out those values that you've just taught us about so fully and so completely. And thank you on behalf of all of us for the wisdom that you have given us this afternoon. We are going to have time for questions because with Mark's help, Ofek has kept very close to time and we are in time. We have time well, we have about 12, 13 minutes for questions before we move to wrapping up. So, although I have things I'd like to ask, I'm going to ask you to think for 2 minutes about the questions you'd like to ask and, dangerously, do something else as well. Because we have with us someone who knew Rabbi Elk, who was Ofek's predecessor's predecessor, whose words we have here. And we'd just like to give a couple of minutes for her to speak. Do you want to stay where you are, or can you come forward?
Probably I better stay where I am. I'm sure my voice carries. First of all, Ofek, thank you for this most erudite lecture, which has thrown so many different ideas, possibly from ones that we've had, about creation and the Bible. And I'm sure you'll find from the questions that people will have been stirred in their imagination and in their thoughts about how we react to religion. You are truly a disciple, if I may say so, of Dr. Elk. I was just spontaneously asked to say a few words because I had mentioned as I came into the hall of this beautiful synagogue that my husband, many years ago, well, in the very early 1950s, met Dr. Elk and was taken to what was then the Leo Beck School. And he was so impressed, first of all, of course, by Dr. Elk himself, and also about the ethos of the school. He therefore, when he came back to England, he decided, he himself at the time was chairman of what was then called the YSDB, the Youth Association of Synagogues of Great Britain, that within that he would form the Friends of the Leo Beck School. And of course, one of his great supporters was Hilda Schindler, whose name has been mentioned this afternoon. And the Friends of the Leo Beck School, of course, eventually developed into the Friends of the Leo Beck Education Center in Haifa. But from those small beginnings, the school, the education center, has been such an impressive contribution to both Haifa, the state of Israel, in the whole concept of the work it does within its community and beyond. So, thank you, Ofik.
And Valerie, thank you very much for those lovely words. And again, we talked about bridging generations Rabbi Ofik talked about bridging generations, and you've done that beautifully for us this afternoon.
And could I just mention, I should have done, that I did have the pleasure of meeting Leo Beck because he came to one of the garden parties arranged by the small committee. And I remember this garden party in Golders Green, and Leo Beck was the guest of honor. Wow. And what a privilege it was to meet him.
Thank you so much. So let's come to questions.
Yes.
And Ofek, if I take the microphone around, you've got your roving. So, Jeffrey, I think I saw your hands up for anyone else who wants to.
Thank you, Ofek. You have spoken holy words. And my question, I hope, comes from that place. This is not a political question. It is a question out of what you've been saying, and the answer will come out of what you've been saying. Something has gone terribly wrong. What is it that we are missing? You talk about tension, conflict within the tradition, but it may be there, it may be that. I don't know how you will answer, but I want to hear your words, which are not political words, but are words of Torah out of your speech.
Wow. Do you want to take 2 or 3 questions, then I will respond?
Okay.
Because I need time to think about this.
In the room, are there other people with questions relating to what Rabbi Ofik has said?
You've got some of your own.
I didn't want to take.
So you know what? Let me respond, and then we'll do one more.
Yeah.
But I think it's. Can you hear? Can you hear from?
Yes.
In order to answer your questions, I want to think about Zionism. Not about the last few years or from 1967 what's went wrong, or because that's a political. And we should have this conversation, but I want to stay in the frame that Zionism, in its origin idea, is to, and doesn't matter if it's Herzl or Echad Ha'am or Bialik or Jabotinsky, right wing, Orthodox, left, Rabbi Kook, is really to continue what Judaism did for the last 2,000 years in a homeland, in a frame of democracy, which is new things. That was the origin idea. The mistake was that the secular side of the map, I'm talking about the 1910, 1920, and we spoke about language. Since Hebrew became first language, and we didn't create another spiritual language, which Bialik and his friend didn't need to because they had it in their soul, it was irresponsible for the future generation. When I grew up in the 70s, I was born in the Six-Day War, you either secular or Haredic. There's no other options. We didn't create the language that can continue the conversation of the last 2,000 years. And that's the big things. We could talk about 67 and what's happened both to the secular Zionism and to religious Zionism. We could talk about the last few years, definitely, but we're in the midst of this war and this tragedy of all sides. So I think the important thing, that's why I focused on the language, is yes, it should be a secular state, it should be a democracy, yet very Jewish. So how we do it? And I think with these principles, we can start to work on that.
Okay.
And about 67, last 3 words after that in the coffee.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Ofek. Are there other questions in the room? And Mark, if anyone on Zoom has questions, then Mark will feed them to us. Ofek, I know you, amongst the many things you talked about how the 2 spies out of the 12 saw beyond the facts to the possibilities. In your experience, have you come across, or have you worked out, do you think, any tips for how we can see beyond the here and now and the clutter of everyday 24-hour news cycles to see to the possibilities? What enables us to see possibility when there's so much going on?
First of all, I think it's kind of a nature of people. There are some people that will never see beyond either themselves or... So first of all, it's a gift that leaders or people born with. So we have to acknowledge that. Once they have it, you can train it. And it's to train the hearing. We say in the Talmud, the most clever people are blind people. The people that see the most are the people that cannot see. And we say in Parasha Shlishit, "Velo tatu achrei nechem asher atem zonim acharem," and you should not follow what you see because it's false. And the challenge today that all our life is to see the Facebook, to see the posts, to see the pictures, to see the... And that's why we cannot recognize between fake news and real news. But if we close our eyes, and that's a practice, that's meditation, this is where worship or tefillah or come into the picture. But even just to tell the story about the 2 spies and the 10 spies, that's the beginning of a conversation that leading people that engage with this idea, how they do it in their life.
Are there others who would like to just explore something a little bit more or ask anything further? Otherwise, there are going to be opportunities.
Aaron.
Yeah.
Thank you. Leah Beck, and especially yourself as well, you're an exemplar of working with other people. How does one identify people to be able to speak with and create a language together with?
I'm not sure I understood.
So you work with other people?
Yes.
How do you identify the people that you can work with from all of the citizens of Haifa? How do you go about finding the few people who you know?
You know, I have set of questions when I interviewing people. For example, when I interview a teacher, I ask, in Hebrew it works better than in English, what you teach. If the answer is math or physics or history or whatever, it's the wrong answer. You teach kids. For example, I mean, and it's not a reason why I will not hire them or why I will hire them, but it's a beginning of a conversation. From first step, some people, if I see that they have some, I don't know, spark in their eyes, do you believe in God? I'm interested. Do you believe in God? I'm a teacher of math. Well, what do you care if I believe? No, I'm just curious. And you see if they can handle a conversation. Because for me, that's the most important thing. I mean, we're also great, brilliant math and physics teachers, yeah? And I prefer that they will teach good math even though he does not believe in God. That's fine. But again, conversation. I think that's the idea.
We have used up our time, and so I just wanted to, on behalf of everyone once more, thank you so much.
Pleasure, thank
One of
you.
the other details I didn't thank you for earlier is your photo research. They were just great to see the selection of photos you managed to find. Brought up memories for all of us, I think, as well as for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ofek, the relationship between this community and progressive Judaism in this country and the Lebeck Education Centre and you personally will continue long into the future. And I hope it will continue to be rich and mutual.